Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my studio. This is Paint with Lovejoy. Thanks so much for joining me. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to the channel and check out the other videos. And if you're here for a second, third, or fourth time, thank you so much for coming back and getting creative. All right, guys, it's going to be another fun painting today. So grab your supplies, transfer your traceable to your surface, and as always, make sure you take your progress photos. Now on my traceable, I went over it with a black Sharpie marker for those of you at home that are going to pause the video and draw what you see. If you're utilizing the traceable, you don't need to go over it with the black lines. So we're going to take this section by section and we're going to start with a light blue mixture, and I am using that middle flat brush. If you need to use the large brush, go right ahead, and demonstrating a few different brush strokes to try as we fill in the background. Now, as you may have to mix your color 2 or 3 times, don't stress about getting the exact same shade of blue each time. We will be putting some darker and even some pure white into this mixture. There we go. Um, so just kind of have fun. I do want you to apply your paint a little bit thicker if you're using student grade paint. You'll get a little bit better coverage. And if you're painting on a stretched canvas, I recommend carrying the color around the sides of the canvas. So we are recreating one of Frida Kahlo's paintings, the two Fridas, and you are more than welcome to make this your own, add your own embellishments, change the colors, whatever you may want to do. Feel free to do that. Just use this video as a guide baseline. You can also pull up her original painting and focus on that, because whether you're following the video or her original, you're just going to be observing what you see. All right, so here in the background, I took some of that direct blue and just kind of slapping it, kind of like confetti in a few areas. And then we're going to go back with light pressure and kind of blend this darker blue into that base light blue. This is called wet on wet blending. And you can see that I am kind of holding that brush at kind of a 45-degree angle, using the side of the brush and really just kind of making these little tapping marks, these little dots back and forth as we diffuse the darker color into the lighter color, and wanted a few places to be a little bit darker, so I went back and grabbed more blue. And again, same method, just kind of diffusing it into that background. You can introduce other colors if you like, and then we will be doing this with white as well, so that way we're trying to get all 3 shades in the background. There we go. Here's our white, so same thing, just kind of slap it on there, and then I will wipe that brush off and then go back and blend it. And one thing that you'll notice is the lighter colors will kind of diffuse and get eaten up a lot quicker when you blend, compared to a little bit of pigment. On the dark, pigment will go a long way when you're doing your blending. And the more and more that you paint, the more you'll that'll become second nature, and you'll get more comfortable with that blending process. So right now, just kind of have fun and enjoy what it looks like. I do recommend standing about 5 to 10 feet away from your painting and assessing it from that distance. All right, so pause the video, take your progress photo. We're going to move down to the ground and we clean that brush really good. Oh, I forgot about a tiny little section where their hands are holding. So I grabbed that light blue again and kind of filled that area. Now we'll clean the brush, and then we're going to grab some light raw sienna. And that is going to be white with a tiny amount of raw sienna, kind of a creamy color. And we're going to fill in that bottom. And then just like we did with the sky, we're going to take some of that direct raw sienna and apply it into this and do some wet on wet blending. With today's painting, you're going to get some good comfort with your brush control and with mixing and blending your paint. So here we're grabbing that direct raw sienna, just observe where I place it, and then go back with that kind of 45-degree angle and light pressure with your brush and blend it into the base color. If you kind of lose that color, just go back and grab more and apply, and just use less brush strokes to blend it. You will get the hang of it, don't worry. All right, so now we're going to make our own kind of light yellow green. I'm pulling some white and yellow together, and then a tiny, 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 tiny amount of blue goes a long way to make this a light kind of lemony green. This is going to be for the bench that the two Fridas are sitting on. If you have green, you can actually start with yellow and add a little bit of green. I kept today's painting with primary colors with the addition of raw sienna. So, all right, so that last little section, the darker structure, just add a little bit more blue to your mixture. No matter how you've made your mixture, just make it a little bit darker. And again, observe the place where I put the lighter green compared to the darker green. And if you are holding your breath, big inhale, relax, you're doing a great job. Now we're grabbing that direct blue. We're going to do a little bit of shading, placing it on there, and then wipe the brush off. And then with the light pressure, you're going to go back and kind of blend that into that base. We will be doing this a lot as we move into the Fridas and kind of getting some of the blending of the cloth done. So just take it step by step today. All right, so we're going to move into the Fridas, and I am using the small pointy brush or the medium flat brush, whichever one you need to. We're going to pull some white aside, and we're going to start with a light gray. And again, a little bit of black pigment will go a long way. This is a white dress that we're painting, but we need to create the illusion of shadows and folds and ripples in the cloth. So that's why we're starting with the light gray. And if yours is a little lighter or darker than mine, totally okay. Just observe again the general place that I put it. Hopefully it's easier for you guys to see. I know sometimes it kind of blends in with the background, but again, just kind of observe where you see it and mimic that on your canvas. And here we went a little bit kind of a medium gray, just added a touch more black for a few areas and applied it. And then now I didn't actually even clean my brush, but we're grabbing that white paint and I'm filling it in the rest of the blank part of the canvas on the dress, as well as blending it into that light gray for the first application. And this just kind of smooths the lines. You may lose a little bit of it, so we will reapply some of this shadow, but we're basically kind of getting this first color of about 3 different shades, a white, a light gray, and a medium gray, blended into the dress. All right, there we go. So now clean the brush. We're going to go back to a pointy brush. And we're going to go for a medium gray, a little bit darker. And again, we're going to re-accentuate some of the shadow areas. And because we have that nice base of the white and the light gray, it gives us something to kind of blend it into. All right, so again, just using that pointy brush, light pressure, mimicking the places of where each of these lines are going, and then blending that into the base. If you are inclined to finger paint at this point to kind of do some of the blending, that is rather fun and tactile, so go right ahead and do it. As you do your blending, you can wipe off that brush so that we are kind of using a clean brush to do the blending. Again, you'll find your balance the more that you paint. So a good place to pause the video and take your progress photo. We're going to move over to the other Frida. And we are going to, since we've already got the light gray made, we're going to go ahead and just use that. I did grab a chunk of white, and then we're going to put some darker colors in the bottom of this dress, and then we'll move into colors for Frida. All right, so I'm actually going to grab that black, just make a bunch of little lines, light pressure, treat the brush kind of like a pencil, so you're just using the tip of it. And the motion kind of does a little bit of that blending. This does not have to be perfect for this. And again, if you want to change colors, go right ahead. All right, so now we're going to start with the dress. So I'm pulling some of that yellow aside, adding a touch of that blue, going for a bit of a green, and it's actually too bright. Oh, there we go. I was going to say, I thought I did a test. Yeah, so I put it on there and I go, oh, that's a little too bright. So we are actually going to add a touch of black to this mixture. We're going for kind of a greenish yellow green, a grayish yellow green. Sorry. Hopefully I said that correctly. There we go. So adding that touch of black and it just kind of mutes it a little bit, almost makes it kind of an olivey or sagey green. Again, if yours is a little lighter, darker, more yellow, more blue than mine, totally okay. I have seen some people switch this out and they'll use red or burgundies. So feel free to make it the color that you want. And I did switch down to that small pointy brush to kind of help just with some of the smaller spaces and the smaller application. So use the brush that you need for the size canvas that you have. Here, doing the same thing that we've done in the other dress, we're just kind of placing those black lines in there, wipe that brush off, and then with that light pressure, you're going to softly blend um, that darker color into your base. And it's real similar to mixing the colors on your plate when you do this. You're just literally directly mixing your paint on the canvas. And when you're learning your colors, this is kind of a nice approach. Now we're doing the highlight with that direct yellow. And again, kind of place it on there. You can be a little more generous with the lighter colored paint because it will diffuse into your base a little bit more. There we go. And again, just observe where it is placed, or if you're looking at the original painting, you're looking at the light areas on the dress. All right. And again, pause the video at any point that you need to assess what you're working on and go at your own pace. We are now using that direct yellow for some of the elements on her blouse. And then we'll be putting some blue in the rest of her blouse. There we go. And you can let this dry, or you can be really controlled with your brush because yellow and blue actually make green, as we have noticed as we did some of our color mixing earlier. So either let the yellow dry and then apply your blue, or just be very controlled and conscious of the blue paint coming up right next to the yellow paint. Either way is good practice. All right, doing good. If you're holding your breath, exhale as your brush touches the canvas. That will help and just kind of get you lost in the process. All right, this is looking good. So now we're going to move into white and just kind of do the reverse. We're going to place the highlight lines, since that blue is pretty dark. Then we're going to wipe the brush off, and just like on all the rest of the fabric, use that light pressure and slowly blend it into the base. You are gaining great muscle control and brush pressure as you practice these smaller brush strokes. And it'll make stuff that you paint in the future easier. All right, another place to pause the video for your progress photo. We're going to go with a light raw sienna, and that is white with a tiny amount of raw sienna. If you want to warm it up, you can add a tiny amount of red, and it gets us to kind of a warmer skin tone color. And add the raw sienna to your liking if you want to go a little bit darker or lighter, or if you want to change the skin tone entirely. Um, make it whatever you want. So we're going to fill in her whole head and chest, her arms on both of the Fridas, and then we're going to take some of that raw sienna and give a few shadows in there. Again, building on all the skills that you have learned in the background, foreground, the dresses, and as we move into the skin tone. You guys are doing great. And if you have not done any research on Frida, I do know that she is a rather popular topic to paint. I do recommend that you just kind of do a little bit of research, figure out why she created the things that she created, the state that she was working from, and just kind of take that into your own expression, your own way to put your emotions into what you're feeling or into your paintings. You'll realize it's much more therapeutic than you ever gave it credit for in the past. All right, and as you're a little bit of brush maintenance, if your brush strokes just keep getting wider and wider, take a look at your brush. Do you have a lot of buildup? Wipe off that excess buildup and then grab more paint. So here I went down to a pointier brush, and again placing that raw sienna in a few specific places, and then we'll wipe the brush off and blend it into that base. As I've mentioned a few times, the power of observation is a huge skill in art. So whether you are looking at the video or the original painting and painting what you see, you are strengthening your eye-hand-mind coordination. And that is a huge part of being creative and really of being a human, just being observant and being present in your environment. All right, coming along nicely. You guys are doing a great job. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day to paint. And I highly recommend that you find creative outlets on a regular basis for yourself and share this with your community. We need more happy, relaxed people. So if they see that you're getting creative, it might make them more inclined to be creative. All right, so we're moving over to the heart area, and that was making a pink, a white with a tiny amount of red, filling in the heart areas, and then we moved over to the black paint and filling in the hair. I believe we'll put her eyebrows on and then do a little bit of some of the outlining. And a bit of a side note about the heart, if you do look at the original painting, she did a more realistic human heart, where in today's painting we will have a stylized heart shape in there. So feel free if you want to do a little bit more to reference the original and take it in your direction. So as we move into the outlines, again, I want you to just get comfortable with the pressure of your brush. Light pressure creates skinnier lines. More pressure creates a little bit wider lines. If you can kind of think about holding your brush like a pencil and just using the last 2 millimeters of the brush, that will help you create some of these smaller lines. But we're going to kind of basically recreate that traceable, and it just gives a nice definition to the painting. And it just kind of cleans up some of the edges, especially for my beginner painters as you're getting more comfortable with the process. Now you can add a little touch of water to your paint. If it's kind of thick paint, that will help give you a little more fluidity. If you already kind of have runny paint, I don't recommend adding water to it and just using it directly. Do take notice that I am about every 2 or 3 brush strokes, I'm grabbing more paint. You do want to keep reloading your brush with paint so that way you're actually applying something to your painting and not just going through the motions. And adding a few little wrinkle lines, fabric lines to those ruffles, and we'll add them in a few other areas. But again, add as much or as little detail as you want in your painting. If you are finding that your brush is shaky as you're going to do these lines, that does mean you're holding your breath. So if you exhale as you touch the brush to the canvas, that will help with your process. If you need to turn the canvas sideways, upside down, put it on your lap, do a handstand while you paint, whatever you need to do to make your process more comfortable. All right, this is looking good. Frida would be proud of you. I'm proud of you. It's coming along nicely. And as while I'm filling out the outlines, there are a few things that I did change in this. I think I changed the blouse a little bit, and then definitely the heart shape, and I didn't do all the face details. Just kind of changing it up, doing a tribute to Frida and not doing a full-on recreation. I leave it up to you if you want to do the full-on recreation of her painting or any of her paintings. All right, remember to breathe. It's coming along nicely. You will find that so much of what you're learning today, what you're learning with the comfort level of the pressure of your brush, of mixing the colors, of using just primary colors, um, you take all those lessons into your next painting. So that's why painting on a regular basis is so important, because some days you're going to have a really good painting day, other days not so much. And you will find on the days that you don't have a really great painting day, you actually learn a lot, and your next painting is usually a little more successful. So don't get lost in the perfection of painting, just get lost in your own process and your own growth of painting. That's really what it's about. All right, so I think we're done with the outlines. We do have scissors that the Frida on the left-hand side is holding. So I recommend, here we go, yeah, just making a line, and then we're going to put a few little circles on the edge. It does not have to be a perfect depiction of scissors. Anybody who does know this painting will actually kind of know what she's holding and why it's there. So that was a line with a couple of 2 circles on the edge. All right, so now we're going to take the red paint. We're still using the pointy brush. We're going to do those little stylized hearts in the heart area. And then there were veins that the scissors were holding, and then that kind of wrapped around between the 2 Fridas. So we'll be doing that. So you've already had some nice practice with the doing this with the black paint. You'll just be doing it with the red. And on her dress, on that white dress, those are just the little droplets of blood. And now we're moving into the line. And again, just pause the video as needed, draw the line, see where it stops and starts, because she does have a lot of these lines kind of wrapping around both of the bodies. And I think on the right-hand side, Frida, it wraps around her arm. So again, just take this one step at a time, um, so that way you can figure out where the line stops and starts. Same if you're just even looking at the original painting. All right, you guys are doing a great job. I'm always honored when you take time out of your day to spend it with me and do something creative. And there are plenty of videos for you to continue your painting endeavors, your painting journey. So on the right-hand side, Frida, I just put a little heart. I know she holds something specific, but we just did a heart for this one. And then there was a few little elements on the white dress. I think cleaning up the hair first real quick, just that edge. But then there's some elements on the dress and little flowers. So we're going to make some orange that'll be yellow. And then a tiny amount of red goes a long way to make orange. And we'll just be doing little dots, just giving the hint that there's flowers on the dress. If you do look at the original painting, there is a much more detail for these little flowers. So you're welcome to copy that. All right. So again, great job, you guys. So grateful that you got creative. Please don't wait too long to do your next one. And until then, cheers. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the process of painting and I hope you are happy with how your paintings turned out. I'm really proud of you for getting creative. As you're uploading these to social media, please tag me at or hashtag paintwithlovejoy or email me your pictures paintwithlovejoy@gmail.com. I really enjoy seeing them. I try to post them on social media to encourage other beginner painters to try the process of painting. But please share this with your community as well. Anybody who is kind of scared to paint, share your experience with them and let them know kind of how much you benefited from it and how much you enjoyed the process. So kind of share the fun. With that being said, if you have any comments, questions, feedback, things that you want me to paint in the future, please leave a comment. I try to respond to everybody as quickly as I can. And any of the future suggestions for paintings, I add that to my production list and get to them as quickly as I can. So in the meantime, please keep getting creative. Let me know how you're doing. And until next time, cheers.